kiss for you.
Well, hello everyone. So today we're going to be talking about the future of Windows. Sorry it's been a little bit. I had a couple things come up over the past couple of weeks, and I've been at least working on some video ideas, so that's cool. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the Windows event that happened recently, or as I like to call it, if I type in Microsoft Live event, we'll get the whole Microsoft Teams thing, because it doesn't need the name more. Basically, yeah, this is the Windows 11 event that happened a couple days ago. It's actually called Windows 11, and I'm just going to really be talking about the future of Windows and Windows 11 and how really, like, what happened. So a bunch of it's kind of a little bit boring stuff, but hopefully I can make this as interesting as possible. First thing we want to talk about is, I guess, the new Windows 11 logo. So if you know what the current Windows 10 logo is, you'll be aware that it's this slanted button right here with the start menu. It has a slanted sort of Windows look, like literal window panes, but slanted outwards and inwards, kind of like a projector. If you look at the new Windows logo, it is very flat. So from here, it's just a flat square, similar to the Microsoft logo, with 4 unique white squares. Here is a more alive version of it, a little bit of gradient, but it's basically this version here, and this is the, not wallpaper, but this is sort of like the default screen, if you will, that was shown off with Windows 11. It has the 4 boxes right here, a shine through here, and the number 11. This is the old Windows 10 logo. As you can see, it has sort of dashed lines right there, and this is basically the logo for Windows 10 slapped onto Windows 11. So basically, if you weren't aware, a leak of Windows 11 was recently revealed a couple weeks ago, and it basically talks about, hey, Windows 11, what sort of the features are, what sort of the visual changes to the platform are. So we'll just start by going through that. First off, as you can see, we'll look at this image first. New wallpapers, obviously, which is pretty neat, and then the most important difference is that the taskbar is now, instead of at the bottom, like it is here, it is on the center, and you can move it to the left or right, or I think to the left at least. I'm not sure about the right, but you can at least move it to the left. But right now it's currently in the... Okay, this article was useless. Yeah. So a couple of interesting things. First off, let me look for right here. So basically it's going to have the Windows button. You'll click that and it's going to effectively be like the Windows startup screen, except a couple of different things. First off, you're not going to be able to have folders. So if you, for instance, like right here, I have Autodesk, Auto, Battle.net, whatever, these folders that were on my documents page here. So if I go to like this and I go to documents, here's a bunch of folders. They show up in the start menu. That's no longer going to be the case. So when you click that start menu, it's going to bring up this sort of Linux-y kind of MacOS, Android even looking startup screen, kind of, which has all your icons that you've pinned, similar to the pins you can make here, but a little bit less confusing. So for instance, under these like, I don't think anyone used this, but basically you could have different sections for live tiles, and you could have like create, play, this kind of stuff. And what you could do is drag, for instance, this over to a section like create, pop it in here, and it would display here. And I could right click it and I would be able to unpin from start, and it would go away. But this is effectively your setup if you want to have quick access to like Spotify, weather, Skype, that kind of stuff. It's changed now to this layout. Let me see if I can get a bigger image of it. Changed to this layout here, which is basically just the normal static icons of whatever you set up and whatever you pin. I'm not sure how the pinning system works at the moment, but I hope maybe it's similar. For any designer, we put that in create, bop, it's right here. So instead, it's not going to have, it's going to be a little bit more simplified, basically. From this system has everything here. Recommended is going to be stuff that you've recently opened and recently done, similar to the recently added section here, the start menu, as you can see. One thing that's quite interesting, so we have this, right, and then we have recommended and more, and then we have your profile icon, and then you have the power button to turn off, similar to how you would have the power button here to turn off. At this point, what's interesting is that what I don't know and what I'm not quite sure of is if you were going to be able to... We already know you're not going to be able to move the taskbar from like up to like either side for like the left, right, or top. But I'm curious to see if you're able to customize it in any other way. Because like for this one, I'm able to get rid... Like if I right click here, I have all these options like taskbar settings, lock it. I can show desktop, show Windows side by side. And what it looks like from the demos and stuff is that you have to do that by clicking on the button. Basically what this shows is the Windows 11 leaked Explorer page, goes to the setup, which is right here, goes through the original setup, and right here. So what I'm not sure about is if this is going to just be more than this, right? They got rid of live towers, which is kind of important. So for instance, see how this mail icon pops up with, for instance, Skillshare, and how the news icon and how this pops up. Live tiles, these are called. Sometimes like this actually flips. These are called live tiles versus static, which is like Spiritfarer or Xbox. These are static, not moving. News and mail are the ones that are moving. They got rid of that, so now everything's just static, which I guess is fine. Yeah, but I'd be curious to know if what you can really do with this, or if this is basically it. Like, it feels very static, I guess you could say, compared to these more fluid, I think. Like, as they showed here with the scrolling, if you look back, you can scroll through these sort of pinned icons, but there doesn't seem to be a general explore section. If I click this, here's all your pinned stuff where you can see at a glance and you can kind of scroll down, but there doesn't seem to be like this part where it's like recently added and like a categorized list of all your apps in here. And I don't know how many people actually use this. I personally don't use this ever, but I just think it's interesting how it feels so natural to just be able to, here's all your apps, you want to go to one of them where it's installed locally, you can, and this you really can't. It doesn't seem like there's a way to view those things. It just seems like here's what this is, and that's basically it. There is a search on the next icon, and I think if you just open this window and you start typing stuff in, automatically it's just a search, which is pretty interesting. Might take a little bit to get to, but yeah, that's all we really know for the search. This is a leaked version that I was talking about before. It leaked a couple weeks back before the event that happened a couple days ago, and it pretty much shows a older version of Windows, mostly with everything intact, although there's some additional features like a couple of visual changes to things like widgets, and a couple other sort of things that make it more cleaned up. Like, I think they bring up a control panel at one point in one of the videos, and it's like the old Windows 7 thing, but I think that was later on changed. So yeah, settings look pretty normal, nothing out of the ordinary here. Oh, okay, so there is actually this kind of menu. It's just apparently under all apps, which I guess makes sense, and it's out of the way too, which I guess is good because, again, I don't know how many people actually use this part. You click on all apps and you do get like a scrolly feature like you had before, pretty much exactly, except it seems, an extra click to get to it because I guess people didn't really use it. There's a get started thing. This is the new File System Explorer. So if I go to the one I have now, it's like this. I actually don't really like this because there's a lot of buttons I never use. Like, I've never used this system here. Home, share, view, like I've never used any of this, and a lot of this is just like, what's the point? I basically use, downloads, documents sometimes, and then like iCloud, and then I use videos occasionally for just any of the video stuff. But yeah, this is the new redesign. So if you saw here, they changed a bunch of the icons. It looks more modern, I guess, more colorful, I would say. Definitely more colorful. I'm not sure, although, how much it's changed, because you can see from the top here, these things are still there. I'm not sure if they're going to still be there. We didn't really see a lot from the event. If you're wondering why I'm not looking at the event specifically, it's because, well, the event was very not great. It was very slow and just awful, basically. They didn't really talk about anything, like, at all. Yeah, as you can see, more space between the icons. That's all like relatively UI stuff. More the tactical details are as follows. They adjusted for, again, new rounded corner design, new logo, new colors and themes. You have a new search bar. You have optimizations for direct storage for games, which effectively means Xbox has a direct storage, and it basically allows your CPU and GPU to connect much quicker than they would normally. So yeah, right here. Is this a good, this is like close. Yeah, so basically this means that the storage goes through the network interface card, and then it goes through your PCI slots, and instead of having to go through the CPU, go through this maze in order to get to the GPU, it can basically go directly to the GPU, and what it's going to do is speed up file times and file loading times drastically. As you can see by here, basically, comparing it to a hard drive, a SATA drive, a Gen 4 SSD, which is like speed, a Gen 4 SSD compressed, which allows much quicker read times. This RTX IO, basically the ability for your storage, your CPU and GPU, or primarily your CPU and GPU to connect with the storage more quickly, allows, again, things to be streamed in and processed super fast. So a great example of what this can potentially lead to. Xbox has something similar. I mean, this is direct storage on Xbox, but I haven't really seen it used that well, because basically what it means is on top of AMD's direct storage. Again, it allows faster loading times or loading general like loading of games. Is the PS5 had Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was a game that came out, and people were raving about that game because of a specific feature that allows you to jump through time and change things super quickly. So let me just find like a gameplay. So basically what they allow you to do is riffs. Wonder if I can just go images. Yeah, basically allows you to go through scenes that you wouldn't normally be able to very quickly. Let me see if I can watch this. Oh my freaking god. Yeah, basically it was just a really super impressive thing. It's hopefully coming to Windows eventually. There's that. They also talked a lot about different speed improvements for just generally loading of applications. Was like, oh, we cleaned up, made it less garbagey, which is nice because if you look at like Task Manager, typically it has a lot of garbage that ends up loading, and people like don't like that. Like, we have just like a lot of, I guess you could say spyware. It's not really spyware, it's more just information. Adobe, anti-malware service executable, Apple stuff. We have feeds, game manager. We have all of HP's garbage, all of Microsoft stuff, NVIDIA control, SQL servers, Realtek things, Steam clients, Windows security foundations, desktop, like all this stuff. Right now it's actually pretty low currently, but there's just a lot of things here that slow down the computer from doing its job, and yeah, that'll hopefully be fixed. One thing we don't know actually is updates. So they did talk about, sorry it's a little all over the place, but they did talk about Windows being a free, 11 being a free grade for anyone that has Windows 10, which is good, but they didn't talk about how much it's actually going to cost in retail or anything like that. Which is, fine. It's just, that's kind of important to know. So if you're building a PC and you want to know how much this is going to cost, we don't know. We do know that, however, the individual licenses are going to be coming out around 2022, early 2022, and that the entire version of this should be fall of 2021. So while this was released June 24th, or announced June 24th, we're not going to see anything about it until the fall. But yeah, I'd be curious to know what you guys think about the Windows 11 update and everything you saw from the event. Again, most important features to take away from this are, again, new logo, new sort of design for the taskbar, a couple of UI changes. They fixed a bunch of performance issues under the hood. Multiple desktops can now have different backgrounds to distinguish them easier. They have, again, direct storage implementation, auto HDR implementation for gaming. More touch support. That was another thing. They had a lot of touch additions. So if you have like a tablet, you can use it with touch more easily, and it has better like touch targets and stuff. So yeah, more touch focused, similar to like Windows 8, which is kind of important, but a little bit more lax. The last feature I really want to talk about that I think is quite interesting. It was a pretty like low. It was like a lower. It wasn't like Windows 8 to Windows 10 massive improvement. It's like we fixed performance, we changed the UI up a little bit, we increased touch capability, and we added the ability to redesign the Microsoft Store and have third-party e-commerce, which means 100% of the profit goes to the developer for the Microsoft Store and the Android apps. So I guess that's the fourth thing, is they now have the ability for the Microsoft Store to use Android apps through the Amazon App Store because they hate Google or something. Basically what this means is that you can now download Android apps like TikTok and Amazon Kindle and ABC Mouse and your Final Fantasy 15 Game of War clone for some reason through the Amazon App Store, which is really weird because they're using the redesigned Microsoft Store to promote the Amazon App Store to download Android apps. What? Like, this is similar to what Apple is doing with their iOS thing, where you can download iOS apps on Mac, which is fine. It's just this is like a worse version of it. Like, I don't understand why you would want this. They also have like team integration and stuff, but yeah, I don't really know. Like, that seems like I understand why people use Android apps and would want to have them on here. It just feels weird they have to go through the Amazon App Store, which is like isn't the entire point of having a Microsoft Store for people to use it, and then they're just like, no, actually use this other store. It just feels kind of weird, right? yeah, I guess that's really it. They also changed the touch and redesigned the keyboard. If you like keyboards that have different themes and emojis and stuff, I don't really know who actually uses the on-screen keyboard. Typically people would type not with that. But yeah, so I mean, a lot of cool things, a lot of interesting things, a lot of redesigning things, and it's free, so you might as well give it a shot. If any of the things I didn't talk about that interest you, let me know down in the comments. And yeah, so if you enjoyed this video and want to see more of this kind of stuff, probably the mini bite series. My next video is probably going to be on WWDC, and then there's going to be one about my Sennheiser headphone review, and then I'll probably be going into some more bigger projects. So yeah, if you enjoy this, and I'll see everyone next time.